After missing out on last year's Final Four, it was all hands on deck for Roger Schmidt and Benfica. Benfica clinches spot in the Final Four with the convincing win of 4-1 over AVS. We got that. We got the Forum. We'll look ahead to Famalicão. Another night, another podcast.
Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans. And in it, you can find our podcast, along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on patreon.com/Benfica Independent with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estado e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Tall Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças, coming to you live every week with the latest and greatest on Benfica land. Tonight, open forum, end of year forum. So we're giving everybody a voice. Let yourselves be heard. Don't be shy. Hope everyone had a good Christmas, a happy and healthy Christmas. That you all ate enough of Titia's filhoses and all that great stuff and all the sweets. I know I did. Hope you didn't drink too much to the point that you embarrassed yourself. I know I didn't. Dave, what's happening, my brother?
What's going on, Alfredo? You nailed it right there, the nail on the head there. Lots of drinking, lots of eating. Just your typical Portuguese Christmas. But great to be back on, getting back out of the holiday groove now, getting back into our regular routine. Some of us may have gone back to work already today, but it's still a holiday here in Canada, Boxing Day. But maybe for our Americans listening, maybe already getting back to work. So it's that weird time of the year where between Christmas and New Year's, people don't know what day of the week it is, but we're recording here Tuesday night, so hopefully that should give people a slight reminder that it is still Tuesday evening here as we record.
That's right. I don't know if Chris will be joining us. I left the window there open for him just in case he decides to join us. He wasn't really sure. Having some things done in his house and he's kind of been running around doing all those things, getting those things accomplished. Well, look, here we are. Dave and I have been handling this podcast for a long time, and at times just the two of us. And considering that there's not much to talk about, and we're gonna give the voice, Cristiano said, maybe you don't need me today. You're gonna give the voice to people, so you don't need me because we're just gonna listen. Cristiano is not a very good listener, as you guys can imagine. So Cristiano's not here, but you guys are here. So don't make Cristiano proud and make sure you guys get involved. Dave, before we get to the forum, let's discuss this League Cup game against AVS last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Benfica won that game 4-1. We started losing the game in the 21st minute, but we quickly turned that thing around. Trubin was in goal. Aushnes Araújo, he came in for Otamendi, which is one of the players we said that that was probably going to rotate, right, Dave?
Yeah,
Otamendi,
it was basically the only player,
the
right?
only
Because we were
player.
here discussing that Florentino and Shikingu might get some minutes, maybe Jurasek getting some minutes up top, and even Cabral getting him into more of a group. But we really didn't see too much of a change in the starting 11, only outside of that Tomas Aruju taking Otamendi's spot there.
Yeah, yeah, it was one of those things, man. It was one of those things that we thought he was going to rotate the squad, and as it turns out, he didn't. But I like it. I like the fact that he's taking his competition very serious. If you recall, last year we didn't lose a game, but we missed it because we had a bunch of, I think, ties, and I remember that the one Moratu miscue, which is what prevented us from being in the final four. So yeah, so all Neves, Koksu, Di Maria, Rafa, Tenkstead, and João Mario wrapped up the rest of the 11. But yeah, good game. I think that Dave, I said here during that game in which Roger Schmidt thrown bottles and Rui Costa came out and said that he's our coach, and the coach said, if you're going to be that type of fans, please don't come. It turns out that it's and I don't want to speak too soon, but as it turns out that it's turning into a little bit of a turning point for this team, because ever since then the team has started picking up some momentum. The team has started picking up some flow. They're in good form. I don't think they have yet to put it through a whole 90 minutes, but I think that the first halves that we've seen, and at times the second halves have been very good for Benfica. I don't know how are you seeing this team play since then?
I think it's a small sample size, 3 games since, and we've got the 3 victories. So small but good sample size so far. I think we're getting some finishing, right? That's what stands out in these 3 games since the bottle throwing incidents. There, we got 3 goals against Salzburg, tight game against Braga, but the quick goal right away, and then 4 goals against AVS. Now, outside of Braga, there, Salzburg and AVS, not too much of a superior opponent, but the team does look like they're getting forward better than they were earlier on in the season, and even just a few weeks ago as well. So very small sample size. I think still too early, but I would love at the end of the year to be chatting with you and pinpoint to that game and say that was the turning point as we celebrate our 39th championship. But so far, so good is what I'll say with that.
Yeah. No, look, it's definitely an improvement, and if it's a stepping stone, it's a stepping stone. I think that there was a moment of clarity. I think there was a moment of where the expectations needed to be set, where Rui Costa came out and said, this is what's going on. Our coach should be treated with respect. We're working very hard. Blah, blah, blah. And this is our coach till the end of the season. I think that simmered people down. And I think that the team was also able to relieve some pressure that they were feeling also from the fans, from the stands. So I think that we're headed in a right direction. I'm not sure how this little break will fit in for us, but certainly it's something that I'm looking forward to now. The team playing, but other than that, good win by Benfica. Like I said, we started losing, but at the end of the half, we were already up 2-1. Di Maria off of a Rafa assist and João Mario off of Auschnitz assist. Then in the second half, Gouveia coming in, Cabral and Gedge coming in. Gouveia grabbing the 3-1 with an assist from Kokshu. And then 4-1, an own goal, robbing Cabral once again. The debut goal at Stadio Luz. So Benfica always in control. And again, for as good as AVS may be doing in the second league, Certainly, they're no match for Benfica, and I think that was very notable on the field of play. Dave, do you have stats? When we play the Final Four, I think is towards the end of January, if I'm not mistaken, the 24th and the 27th.
Yeah, so we played the 24th against Estoril in the semifinal of the League Cup, and then the winner of that will play Braga, the winner of Braga and Sporting on the 27th there. So a few weeks away here, but always good to see us move on to the next leg of this League Cup. Haven't won it, I believe, not since 2017. But this is a tournament that we dominated in the early formation in the early years of this tournament, but recently haven't had too much success. So always good to move on. And just a quick stat here with the victory: Benfica is now on a three game winning streak, and one more. A victory against Famalicão will match our season high, which goes to just show you how much of a struggle it's been this year, where our season high win streak at the moment is a 4-match winning streak. So hopefully we can get that here coming up this Friday against Famalicão and get a good streak going on to start the new year.
Yeah, yeah. So I have put the link on the screen there. It looks like we have Jason. Jason, can you hear us? I gotta bring him in. Sorry guys, but we had to switch things up a little bit to bring there's Jason. Jason, what's happening?
I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
No, I can't hear you. You're gonna have to play around with your settings there, Jason, because we can't hear you. Most likely the settings within this Streamlabs. But yeah, the link's on there, man. Don't be afraid to come in and join us. Obviously, I know we appreciate you guys always.
How about now, guys?
There he is.
There we go.
What's going on, man?
What's up, man? Feliz Natal. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Long time listener, first time caller.
Basically, yeah, I've been catching you guys for about it's going already back. See, the spring, on and off, because I usually catch you guys as I'm driving home from. And I usually put on a pod of some sort. So I'm like, there's no Benfica content out there to get on and talk about, because I'm just getting tired of arguing with my dad about this. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I mean, what can you say about this year? I don't know. It's been pretty disappointing, considering the fact that they're still in the race. It's been pretty disappointing, only because like you have to think about. You can't expect them to go and kill all the competition.
Yeah.
Every game of the year, but I was just disappointed by the way they've showcased themselves, at least from an attack point of view. Like the lack of goals is really concerning ever since Gonçalo Ramos left, and it's just been a big drop off. And I really think it's really on the playmakers and the leadership on this team that they needed to step up. Granted, I think Roger Schmidt deserves a lot of the blame, but man, I sometimes they just look like they just don't show up to play, and it's like, how do you coach these guys to go up there and play hard? And considering the last game against Avs or AVS, the artist formerly known as that, they seem to ramp it up a little bit, and even the game before that, I saw them pick up the intensity. So, is it time to throw in some of the younger guys, probably from Seychelles? I mean, look at Thiago Gouveia; he scored a beauty goal. You need more minutes. So there's still a lot of roster tinkering to do, and clearly we need Nedish back. We need to figure out the right back and full back situation, especially with guys who can defend. Because I'm really concerned about Benfica's back end when it comes to really defending against especially elite competition, guys who have elite attacks. What are they going to do in the transfer window? I don't know. I think it's they got some holes to fill because they can't keep putting Arshness in as a spare tire every time, right? And we need Bob back. There's just a lot of holes, and I think that even the defensive back line as a unit is still a little shaky at times because after seeing so many games, it's like this team just seems like they're always so close to letting up a goal, and the opposition they kind of know how to play them, right? So I don't know. They're still in it. They're still in it. They got when you think about the amount of points that they've dropped and the teams that they've beaten, they've already got the most important wins in the first half. So they're still in the mix. But I'm hopefully I just want to see them pick up the intensity like they did at the first half of last season, because the first half of last season, man, they were rolling.
Yeah.
And I just don't know where that team. Yeah.
Yeah, and I you bring up great points, right? Because the expectation for the season is that with Roger Schmidt already with the year under his belt, and regardless of whether you lose some key players, which we did, right? The system, the dynamics, the movements should all be there. The intensity, the high press, and I know that the high press is going to depend a lot on what players you have on the field, right? Because some guys press better than others. Some guys have a bigger lung than others. But certainly, seeing the team playing the way they did early on in the season, like you mentioned, Jason, it was just discouraging. It was almost like they abandoned everything good that they did last year. And it's almost like they were kind of restarting to play again, or to learn to play, or new tactics, which the tactical setup is the same unless the game idea or some of the dynamics changed. But I think that we went from being a team that was very intense, pressing very high, that was able to kind of smother opponents, be able to get that turnover, and then go on a counter on a counter. We seem to have lost that ability. Granted, you have João Mario on one side and you have Di Maria on the other side. They're not guys that are going to be very big pressers, so maybe there's that change. But I did expect this team to be a little better in terms of the dynamics and in terms of how players move. Now the second year of Roger Schmidt. So I don't know if that's the way you also felt.
Well, and also too, when he first came in, he didn't really get a whole brand new roster. There were some guys that got pushed out of the way, so he really inherited just almost practically his whole team. So
yeah,
when he came in, I thought, I'm like, okay, so are there going to be some wholesale changes? Because I was just like, as soon as Jesus left, I was like, they got to blow it up. Let's start fresh. Let's just get rid of the bad elements from, if it was bad elements allegedly in the locker room, and start afresh. But when he came in, it's like he switch flipped, and they were moving the ball like so well in the first half of the season, and then he just kept playing the same lineup. And I thought they ran out of gas, and it almost cost them the championship, but they held on. But I just want to get back to that. I think they were calling it Roger Ball at the beginning. I don't know, but they were the movement was just there.
Yeah,
and the movement's not there anymore. And I hate to say it, but he just seems to be the manager who's leaning tenants, which is important if you want to be a championship team, a coach or whatever. You need lieutenants,
right?
But he's leaning on João Mario and Rafa, who I don't know. I think a lot of the problem stems through them. Just from a performance point of view. I'm not saying they're bad leaders or they're not well liked, but it's something's not right. So I don't know. If it was me, I'd probably say play Gonçalo Guedes over Rafa, even though he hasn't been proven so much. But I just think his prototype as a player, I think he offers you a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Neres needs to come back too, and we need that, like Cristiano would say, we need that Jenga back.
Yeah.
There's got to be that beautiful jogo bonito football that I'm used to seeing from Benfica.
Yeah.
I think we're a team that we like to attack. We got flash. I know we can score some goals. I wish they got to get back there.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with you. I think that Neres is a big miss because even when the team was doing shit, the Neres could always pull something out of his hat or be the one guy that we can count on. And then you have the inconsistencies that we have with Rafa and João Mario, which are not guys that are very consistent throughout the season. So we have those up and downs when we kind of depend on those guys way too much to do something. And not having Neres, which is he's an agitator, he's a creator, he's a guy that makes things happen. I think that's going to make a difference. I think Gonçalo Guedes, the biggest problem with Gonçalo Guedes is also inconsistency, but also because he has not been healthy to the point where he's getting reps, and now he can become more consistent on the field. So I just think that there's some issues that we've had with injuries. There's some guys that we needed to step up that haven't stepped up to the level that they stepped up last year. Think about how many goals João Mario had at this point of the season last year, and Dave could look that up and compare it to what he's had this season. But last year he was our top scorer for a while there. Him and Gonçalo Ramos went back and forth on the goals. So
no, I think João Mario last season was playing. He was technically playing out of position. So the way Schmidt kind of worked the lineup up, and he still succeeded. I'm like, did he overachieve last year? Maybe I'm thinking they lean on Gedge because of maybe it's a little bit of a him playing abroad, that kind of biased, and he's had some success in the national team. He's got a high motor. I know he's got a high motor. I've seen that from what I've seen from him. But you're not wrong about the consistency part. I just how do you make that change? But do I see Roger Schmidt making that change? Probably not, because he's already leaned on these lieutenants for so long, and all of a sudden you're going to pull him out.
Yeah.
I don't know. They got those guys got to step up in the second half, even more so if you want to at least stay above, because Sporting is looking good.
Yeah, and look, I think at the end of the day, the league is really a race of consistency. So the team that's going to be the most consistent is going to be at the top at the end. So we kind of need to do that. Before I let you go, expectations for the winter transfer window?
I'd expect at least one or two moves. I don't know what Bernat's future is. I don't know if the rumors that he wants out or not. I don't know how legit that is, but they're going to have to bring in. They're definitely going to have to bring in another fullback, maybe somebody who can possibly play both sides if you're really looking for that kind of versatility and flexibility. And I mean, if they're going to keep Gouveia, then I was going to say another winger, but I mean, I guess it depends who's there. I mean, if there's a quality striker, maybe they can get on loan just for that second half of the season. Somebody who's kind of just pissing away on the bench somewhere else, and you think he's got some ability, maybe make a shake up there. But I think defensively, they could use a little more, because I really don't want to see Morata playing on the far left.
Yeah,
he's just too slow.
And
so they got to do something.
Yeah, no, and I like the fact that Morata's getting playing time, but not in a position where he should, right? Because I don't think Tony Silva makes a pass this year, to be honest with you. And I think that Morata needs to be part of the setup so he could just step in and hit the ground running. But I'm with you, man. I think that we need to get a fullback. We need to get if we get somebody with that versatility that could play both sides, that would be great. But why do you need versatility when you have Auschwitz? My man could play basically in all 10 positions.
I get that. I'm just wondering if Auschwitz is really, you really bring him back in the midfield, but then again, there's a room for him.
Yeah, well, those are good problems. But those are good problems to have, right? I don't know with Neres coming back. I don't know if that squeezes out Gouveia, to be honest with you. That's the thing that I'm worried, because I think that Gouveia getting at this time I like, I'm a fan of Gedge. I just think that he's had these problems with injuries, like as I mentioned, but I much rather give the time to Govea to make him grow because he's gonna be part of the future of this team, right? Gonzalo Guedes, his loan is over. There's nothing that says that Benfica is going to be able to acquire him and he's going to stay with the team. So, being that he struggled with injuries, he struggled with form, he looks very sloppy right now, no touch whatsoever. Is this a concerted effort that we make to keep Govea now getting the minutes that Guedes would get otherwise? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
listen. I think the Seychelles kids, they're showing the most passion, I guess, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
So,
no,
why not play them?
and it's great to see. Jason, man, it was great to finally to meet you, albeit virtually, man. I appreciate you coming in and giving your opinion, man. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys, from Canada. Eh? Cheers.
Cheers.
Ciao.
We're gonna bring in Hugo now. Hugo, como é que é, amigo? Tudo bem?
Meus amigos, how are you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we can hear you.
How you doing?
Hey, good. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy New Year as well, and same to your listeners. Well, a lot of times, we get to pick some opinions in the chat. So I just wanted to, say hello to everybody.
Yeah, man. Of course. What's going on? What's on your mind? Let me ask you this, right? Because you were on the forum last time, and it was maybe a month, 2 months ago. Has your mind changed any in terms of your opinion on this team, your opinion on any specific players from then until now?
Yeah, I mean, you could start with the season's expectations, with the failure in the Champions League, for example. I never thought that Benfica would exit in the group stage. When the group came out, I had us penciled in at least in second place. But obviously, given the circumstances, we could sit here and discuss. I've had the conversation with Chris that, listen, I don't think we were as bad as the group indicated, aside from the Real Sociedad games. But we were a couple referee decisions away, I think, from advancing out of that group potentially. But so if you start there with me, at least, yeah, I had expectations to go deeper in the Champions League. But obviously, some things haven't panned out. The striker position, the left back position, for example, even the right back position. Even when Ba was healthy, I didn't think Ba as last year. So given all those circumstances, that's where I'm most disappointed with this year's season, is more in the Champions League. Because if you look at it domestically, I think domestically, everybody's got to be content with where we're at, because we won a Super Cup against our direct rival, right? Which means a lot. And we've beaten every direct rival this season, a head-to-head confrontation, and we're only 1 point out of first place. So if you're to split this campaign into international versus domestically, I think domestically you got to be delighted with how the team's performed. Okay, given that this is a results-oriented business, right? We know the performances haven't been up to par with what we've expected in majority of the games. But then when you look at it internationally, it's been a disappointment. But I remember, and you can attest, I've had private conversations with you and Chris, for example, and I thought it was absolutely vital for us to get into the Europa League at minimum, given with how poor we were performing in Europe, for a couple circumstances, right? The number one, the January transfer window. I think if we don't advance in Europe, I don't think we would invest in the January transfer window. And then the other thing is, accumulating points for your UEFA coefficient, for example, the prestige of Benfica continue. Benfica belongs in Europe, albeit, we belong in the Champions League, but at minimum, you had to at least get into the Europa League. So to answer your question, off of that's where I would enter my disappointment this season thus far, is with our European campaign.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I just thought about that, right? So if somebody said to you in the beginning of the season, at the end of, and we're basically almost at the end of the first half, right? At the end of the first half, you've beaten all your direct opponents, right? Sporting Braga and Porto, and you're still 1 point off the pace. Um, I mean, is that something that it doesn't make sense, right? Because if you go against your direct rivals and you're beating them, you should automatically at least have 3 points on each one of them, right? And right now we don't have 3 points on Porto, if I'm not mistaken. I think the lead is less than three. We don't have three on Sporting. Sporting has one on us. We have definitely three on Braga, but certainly domestically, and we all know that oftentimes it's not the matchups against your direct opponents that are going to win you the league. It's that cold winter night up in Tondela with the heavy pitch that you got to squeeze out a win in order to count those at the end of the championship. But certainly it's a bit of an anomaly when you look at it that way, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, given that beat your direct opponents head to every single one of them, yeah, you should be leading the league. But with that said, I mean, it's only 1 point. There's plenty of league left.
Yeah.
Remember, Sporting, guys, say what you want about Sporting. And they had an impressive win against the Porto the other week. But say what you want about Sporting. I mean, they're not used to being in a position like this. They're not used to being in first place. So again, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for them as well to mentally stay, especially now in these months coming up, right? And when Europe resumes in February, etc., it's going to be a challenge for them to stay in first place. I expect them to drop some points fairly soon, and hopefully Benfica remains on their toes, takes care of business, and we need a nice cushion once we start going into the second half when we got to go to Dragão and Alvalade.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a little bit of cushion on these guys to allow for a room for error. But I anticipate Sporting to drop in some points here.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you know how I feel about Porto. I don't think they're as strong this year, and no point in even getting into them. But
yeah,
I think it's going to come down to how we stay. Can we stay consistent and pick up these points against these Tondelas of the world?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that that the biggest thing that Sporting has, they have a guy that could score goals, and even when they're not playing well, when they're sloppy, and they're missing a lot of passes and not playing well, they give the ball to that guy and he makes it happen for them. I think that right now that's probably what the biggest difference with Sporting and the rest of the teams are, is that they have a guy that could pull the ball behind the net. And basically on his own, right? You give him the ball and you just let him run at defenders. And I think that when you have an Aberlatas like that, a guy that could grab you a goal and you could squeeze it out, and then you're much closer to being a successful team, I think. Benfica doesn't have that, unfortunately. They don't have a matador like they do.
Oh, that guy is impressive. I'll give him that. Very good player.
Yeah.
And it's a shame he's not wearing red and white, but I think though, obviously the striker position is a big problem we've had all season. But even more so, I look at the wingback position and listen, give credit to Auschnitz playing as a right back. He's been very impressive the last 3 or 4 games, getting forward with quality, giving that profundidad. But on the left side, I mean, it's been a struggle all year. And, and listen, I tip my cap to Morat. He's doing his best, but obviously he doesn't belong in that position. No Fres, he doesn't widen the pitch. And the way Benfica plays, not just Benfica, all big clubs. When you have possession like that, you got to open the pitch up and be able to unlock games that way. And right now, that's been a struggle for us.
Yeah.
Imagine, because even with these guys, right? Musa, who's technically like a sub. I look at him like a super sub in a way, right? You got Tengsted, who's not a finisher, and then Cabral's been struggling, right? But if you had a guy like a Grimaldo, level that he played at last season, I think this team's bagging a lot more goals, and maybe not from a striker, but from anybody in the final third of the pitch.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think as of late we're creating quite a few chances. We just can't put them away. I mean, the example
Gotta
was
talk to your boy Rafa.
my boy for this.
My God, man. Fucking hey, that guy. The last 2 or 3 games, I almost had I almost broke my phone. I was watching the game at Salzburg. I was so irritated because I see the clock ticking. I'm like, how the fuck are we about to bow out of Europe in this against these fucking monks? The score, literally, the score could have been 9-1 that day.
Yeah.
Literally 9-1.
Yeah.
I mean, such an easy game, and here we are. We needed to go to extra, to stoppage time.
Yeah.
The bag, a beautiful winner, but Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't. It hasn't been good in terms of our efficiency. We definitely are creating a lot more than we're putting away. If we could at least put a quarter of the chances that we're creating, we'll be in good shape. So, but at least we're creating. It'll be a problem if we're not creating, but we're at least creating. You go expectations in terms of the winter window.
The January transfer window.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, it ties into the beginning of our conversation. I think the fact that we remained in Europe is going to give us a bigger cushion to invest in January. Because say what you want, I mean, I think Benfica is looking at the Europa League, with ambition, and by doing that, you should take care of your domestic ambition, right? So I think. Depending on Bernat, right? I think Bernat is the X factor, right? I had big hopes for him, and anybody who knows this player knows that if he's in form, first of all, he wouldn't be at Benfica. Right? Let's face it. If we can somewhat recover him, that could be the key to the second half of the season, right there. But if he continues with his struggles, we have to go get a left back. Have to. Position, I think. Listen. Even if Ba comes back, I told you I have not been impressed with Ba this season. I would keep Auschwitz there. He's been very good the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
But and then definitely need a striker. You need so left back, right back, and a striker. I think is the positions to look at. Unless, and here's where I was shocked that he didn't start at Braga. Off of that wave that high, and a lot of times, especially in a club like a Benfica, right? You got to look at Cabral's career. He's coming from some minnow in Brazil, right? He goes to Basel, right? Does well at Basel. Goes to Fiorentina, but Benfica's a different animal. He's never seen an animal like this in his career, and the pressure of what the club paid for, and the pressure of the fans. You saw it. You saw it get to the guy. He's human. When he stuck up the finger 2 weeks ago to that one fan. These guys are human. And I thought with that emotional high of how big that goal was at that moment, with all that turmoil with Schmidt 3 days earlier and Cabral, I thought that was a chance for Schmidt to throw him in there in a hard away game. And who knows? He could have fared out well. But to that point, maybe this is a turning point for Cabral.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think Tankstead is the answer. I see why he plays, because out of the 3, he's the one that resembles Schmidt's style a little bit better with the way Rams used to work. But I don't think Tankstead is the answer going forward. So I'm with Chris. I'm with Chris on this one. I've heard him say it on the podcast many times. I mean, this is Cabral has to be your guy. You got to ride him, especially with the price tag that you paid. At some point, you got to turn it over to him and either sink or swim with him.
Yeah, I just don't think that the style suits his skill set. If Roger could tweak things a little bit so we could get more serves into Cabral and we could take advantage of his strong suits, then I think we could be in a good shape. But with the style that we're playing and him needing guys to attack the back of the defense and to get into channels, I just don't think Cabral is that guy.
No, Cabral is a striker that first of all, he plays well back to goal. Listen, he's a technical player, right? But then again, he's a player that needs service, right? That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have that work ethic that Tankstead has or that Musa has. So he's going to be more of a stationary striker, play back to goal occasionally, fazer combinações, 1-2s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if he's not that work rate striker, he's just not. So if that's what they're looking for, then definitely not your guy. But at some point, like Chris always says, you got to turn. You got to sink or swim with him.
Yeah.
You have to because of the price tag.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Guys, thank you, and
Happy New
again,
Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, you and all the audience. Dave, good stuff.
Stuff, brother. Go Rangers, eh?
Top of the league.
All right, everybody.
I'll talk to you guys.
See
Take
you.
care. Happy New Year.
Bye. All right. We got Justin Aragon. What's happening?
Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. What's happening, Justin? How you been, man? It's good to talk to you, man. It's good to hear your voice.
Good, man. How you guys doing? How was your Christmas?
Good, man. Good. Do you have any gifts that you would like to regift or that you'd like to exchange? What was the one gift that you would regift if you had to?
Oh, I already did that. I regifted one of my gifts in a Yankee swap. I already did that. I'm already guilty of regifting. So
Wait, what's a Yankee
regifted
swap?
There's
That's a
some
new one.
dishware. I got some dishes.
Some dishes.
I regifted it in a Yankee swap. Yeah, I want nothing to do with that.
I don't blame you, man. So do
Yeah,
you take underwear over dishes?
Hey, man, you can never go wrong with a good pair of quackers, man.
That's right.
They're practical, Alfredo. You got to use them.
You're right.
But yeah, as far as Christmas, man, I hope Benfica does something in January. That's what my real gift is.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what I'm waiting for.
So thoughts on the season?
Now, I think they should start buying from the Tugão, man. I think they need to stop looking. There's some good quality in the Tugão. You can get it for cheap. I think that's where they're going to be looking in January. I don't think they're going to be spending big money, especially not with us not in the UCL right now. I think they should look in the Tugão. There's some good players, man, on these smaller teams. I think they should be looking around, especially at fullback. I know there was rumors about that. Pedro Moreiro at Boavista, they were looking into. I don't know if that's still going on or not, but there's some guys in the Tugão that I think deserve a look. I think that Benfica should start shopping the Tugão for January and add some improvements to the squad, because what we got right now, it's working against these rivals, but I don't know, against these monks starting to drop points and make me nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like I was just telling Hugo after the beginning of the season. You tell me that we've beaten all our rivals and we're still 1 point behind Sporting. Obviously something went wrong, and things have gone wrong. We lost the home opener against Boavista, then we had a couple more ties that we should have won. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle. It's been a little bit of struggle. What are your thoughts for the transfer window?
I think that there's a problem at Benfica that not necessarily a problem right now, but it's going to be a problem if it's not addressed. I think that's some midfield depth. I think a lot of people are very focused on the fullbacks and the striker, but the midfield, you got to think about it, especially with João Neves rumored on the top of United's list. And what happened with Enzo last year, last minute he gets sold. We didn't have time to get a backup for him, and the season kind of fell off at that point. I think that Benfica should be looking into some midfield depth options, because what happens if United submits a bid last minute, 100 million plus, and all of a sudden João Neves is out the door and we're stuck with Chiquinho playing every week. So I think this is an issue that right now nobody's really focusing on, because there is such a glaring issue at fullback and up top. But I think that midfield, I would like to see them, even if it's somebody from the Tugão. I don't expect them to go big or buy any crazy important, but even in the Tugão, somebody from Milicão or Boavista, whatever, some guy, or even a guy from Braga, who knows? I don't know if Braga's going to be selling, but
yeah,
maybe even a guy from over there. I mean, I think some midfield depth would be nice, unless there's somebody in the B that is ready. The B is kind of struggling this year in the second division, so I'm kind of worried what's going on with the B. But I think they should shop even in the Tugão. I'm not asking for a 20 million plus midfielder in January, but in the Tugão, if they can get somebody, just in case, it's always good to have someone to rotate in. I mean, we're buying all these wingers. The guy from Argentina is coming over now.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of stuff at winger. I think that's been the big focus. And I would love for them to grab, a midfielder cheap. Maybe you can get a fullback from the two guys as well, cheap, under 5 million euros or something. And then I think there's a guy I'm really interested in at striker. I think they can get him on loan. It's Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. I think
Okay.
his agent came out. Yeah, his agent came out recently, said he not getting enough playing time and he's unhappy and he wants to leave in January and get some playing time. He's a 6'4", he's a big guy. He got some speed on him. He can get in behind. I'd be interested to see if they would let him go on loan. I mean, they got Timo Werner in front of him. They just signed the guy from France, Pineda. He's playing. They have who else over there? Yusuf Paulson. So they have a bunch of guys in front of him getting minutes. He's a young guy. He's born in 2003. He's a 20-year-old kid. He's 6'4". He's a big guy. I think he reminds me a lot of the fellow there at Sporting. Obviously less polished.
Yeah.
But I think that Sesko guy, if we can get him on loan, I think that's something they should look into if Leipzig's interested.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout, regardless of his age. His age for me would be the biggest thing. But look, if you have the skill set, even if you're not as polished, but you have that raw ability that Darwin had, right? And I still don't think that Darwin is polished enough, right? But he came to us with that strength and that just strong. He would just run after balls, and he was just muscle guy. So I don't know, man. I'll be interested. I have to look that guy up because I've never heard of him. But then again, I don't follow other leagues as close as I follow like the Premier. So if it was Premier, maybe I would know who the guy was. But certainly there's guys right now that are on the fringe that haven't had the chances and the reps that they had hoped that they would get. And maybe now if Benfica could be surgical in terms of who they're gonna get will be a plus. My only thing is that you just can't fail, right? You can't go spend 18 million on Jurasek and you can't go spend 20 million on Cabral, and those guys are not the first names on the sheet by any means. So I think that the winter transfer window is always tricky because the not all the options are there. You're getting like excess guys for certain teams, but hey, one man's garbage is another man's treasure, so you never know. I would just think that if you're going to spend the money, even if it's on loan, because a lot of these teams will ask you to pay for the player's salary, it has to be a guy for me that comes in and plays. For me, it has to. Because I don't think Benfica can afford to, all right, well, we'll bring another guy, and then he'll sit like Tankstead for a whole half a year, not really doing anything, and most of his year until he's getting some starts now, didn't really do much. So I just don't know. I would like for Benfica to be very surgical in terms of who they're going to get and whoever they get. And I don't care. I don't care if they spend 20 or 25 million to get a player, but make it worth it. Make it a guy that's going to come in and he's going to make a difference and he's going to be able to justify the price that we pay for them. That's all I really want. But you're right. I think that there's some players in the to-go, interesting players that will add to the depth, I believe. I also think that despite teams being able to come and get the clause for João Neves, I think that from what I've seen, and could be wrong, obviously, right? Because I don't know the guy personally. I think that when Enzo was presented with the opportunity to stay for the remainder of the season, and Chelsea was fine with it, but it was Enzo that went against it. I think that if Rui Costa works out the same deal, that João Neves is staying. I don't think that João Neves is leaving this team.
100%. He has the Benfiquismo to want to stay, and I think he's a different character than Enzo for sure.
For sure, because he knows of the reality of the club. A lot of these guys, they just come in as a stepping stone to the bigger leagues, to a trampoline. How many times have we heard the word trampoline come out of these guys' mouths? But I'll be interested in terms of what Benfica does in this winter window. What are your expectations for Europa League?
I think Europa League. I think Benfica can push. I don't think it'll be. They could make a final. I mean, they've done it before in our history. not too many years ago. They've made a Europa League final. It would be a shock if they did, especially with the performances in the UCL. I'd be shocked. But the competition is a little less difficult than UCL, and if in UCL they can push quarterfinals, I think they have a good shout to make at least quarterfinal, semifinal. I think that would be quite disappointing. They dropped out earlier than quarterfinal, semifinal in the Europa League, especially with the competition. Not a lot of teams. I'm like shaking my boots to play on
Yeah,
Thursday nights.
yeah.
So I would like a semifinal. I think that'd be nice. Semifinals, even if we don't make the final, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's some strong teams still remaining in the Europa League, so but that'll be interesting. But I think again, I don't think we're gonna have a problem getting past this first opponent. But I do think then it's gonna be very dependent on the draw. And then again, I mean, what we have seen from Benfica in terms of how the team has progressed since that moment that I was talking to about, that was talking about late before, with Roger Schmidt and Rui Costa, blah 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 blah. I think the team has improved, and I think that if the team continues on the trend that they've had, this little mini trend that they've had, if they continue like that into the end of February and then into the Europa League campaign, I think that there's a good chance that we'll get far. But then again, I think that there's some missing pieces. I think that we definitely need a fullback, whether it's a right or left back. I don't care. And I think that at this point, if you want to go far in the Europa League, you may need to get a striker that's just going to be a guy that's going to be a starter for me. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, the only thing with the Europa League that makes me nervous is we got to play our rivals away now coming up in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So, what do you really prioritize? You're gonna go all out on Thursday nights, then Monday night you gotta go to Avalon, or Sunday you gotta go
Yep.
to Port and play. What's the priority gonna be? I guess up to Rui Costa. If he feels confident, we're gonna get first and automatic Champions League spot. Then we don't need to rely on the Europa League as our way through. But if we start dropping points to these monks and now we're falling behind first place,
Yeah.
Europa League starts to become tasty with that automatic qualification if you win. So
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see what the situation is going to be.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm not too happy that I'm going to have to watch Benfica on Mondays, especially for us guys here in the U.S. or in Canada, with the time difference and usually being at work during those games. Not too happy about those games that are going to happen on Thursday, but also the domestic games on Monday, because while Sporting and Benfica and Braga continue on the Europa League, those Monday games are a sure thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how the league's going to stack those games with all those teams in the Europa League. I
Yeah.
have we're going to game at 8 o'clock at night or something. I have no idea how
Yeah.
the league's going to stack these games on Monday. It's going to be very very interesting to see, especially some of the bigger matches on. I
Right.
don't know how they're going to stack those on Mondays. It's going to be interesting.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. What else is on your mind, man? Before we let you go.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just hope that the season going forward, they continue playing, getting these results against the rivals. At the end of the day, only one point behind Sporting. We can beat them in the Avalad. Don't drop points against Port. It'd be nice. And as long as we just don't be losing to these monks, man, these stupid
Yeah.
games, man. We can't be this 3-2 against Boavista to start the season. I mean, these are the things that kill you in
Yeah.
the last match week. I mean,
I agree,
just
man.
none of these silly mistakes, and Trubin's been great. So Trubin's performance from now compared to match week 1 has been big. He's just getting better. He was huge in the Champions League. My God,
Yeah.
probably won't even get Europa League without him.
Yeah, no, I think that Trubin, and I think that everybody agrees with me. He's been growing in confidence, and I think even after that first shaky initial period, I think that he's done extremely well, and he's come up big, man. He's come up big on certain games that if it hadn't been for Trubin, the result would have been different. And that's what you want. You want a guy that's going to win you games sometimes from gold. And I'm happy. Look, I think that he's still going to make some mistakes. You're going to still see some mistakes from him, because I think it's just growing pains of a young goalkeeper, and I think that goalkeepers don't mature until they're much older. But in terms of the skill set is that it's all there. I just think that mentally we still have to go through a few mistakes from him. Justin, man, it was a pleasure speaking to you, man.
Yeah, man. Of course, man. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year, and smash the like button.
That's right, man. Smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
Justin, pleasure, man. See you
Yeah,
next
same,
time.
man.
Later.
See ya.
Bye. All right. It's good to be speaking to all of these guys that we have never spoken before, but I feel like I know them because they're on the chat all the time. Every Tuesday night, they're on the chat. So I feel like Jason Gaidol and Justin Aragon, I feel like I know those guys, and now having the pleasure of speaking to those guys directly, Dave, it's nice.
Yeah, they're always feel like family in the chat there, right? But getting to speak to them one on one, and seeing some faces here too, it's always good to chat with some of these Freddies one on one outside of the chat there.
Of course, man. Of course. Who else is brave enough to? Oh, Shiku Marcelina's here. Let's go, Shiku. Let's get in here, Shiku. Can't wait to speak. We've known Shiku now for a bunch of years now. Let's go, Shiku. Get in here so we can talk to you. Finally, speak face to face. Yeah, man. So so I think that the concern is the same for everyone, right? Go to the market, get some guys that are going to make the difference. Build up some of that depth. There's concerns about obviously losing players like João Neves and Antonio Silva. Right? I just don't think that either one of those guys are going to leave mid-season. We'll see. But like I said, they've definitely encouraged by how the team has progressed since that point of is really a bottom.
The only thing I would add is I know our strikers that we currently have on the roster haven't been performing up to par so far. But if we bring another striker in, then we have four strikers on the roster here. Do we at that point have to look at loaning one out or selling?
Well, there was rumors today that there was, I forget what team it was that was interested in Artur Cabral. I read that today. I forget.
Lyon.
Was it Lyon? Yeah, Lyon was interested in. I thought it was kind of odd. Was it Lyon or Marseille?
Marseille, that's the guy, because Vitinha, the young Portuguese player that they just bought from Braga last season, he might be on his way out. So they're looking at a replacement for him if he goes in January. So Cabral was one of the players that they're potentially linked to. And I know Justin was talking about looking within the Portuguese league, and we had those links to that Boa Vista player, the one of the fullbacks there. With their current financial situation there, are we able to just go and start picking at these players and get them on an even cheaper deal? Because there was that American fullback, who was it, Reggie Cannon, that just left completely. He rescinded his contract based on the fact that he hadn't been paid. And I'm sure there's a lot more of those players in that same boat there, because there's reports that they haven't been paid in three months this season. So that might be a team to go and look at in terms of buying players. I don't think Benfica wants to go the route of just getting a player on a free, because I'm sure there's a lot of legal back and forth that would have to get that approved. But they're not really in a position to be turning down money at this stage of the season.
Yeah, no, and I think that there's probably a clause within the player's contract that states if you haven't been paid in X amount of days, or that you have the right to rescind your contract. I don't know if there's a lot of them that have reached that point where they could do that. But look at it this way, right, Dave? I think that if you stay with the club, there's a possibility that at some point you're going to get paid, if you leave the club, you
There's no
can,
chance.
can fight for it, right? But it's a long, drawn out court battle in order to make the club pay you. Now, if Boavista sells Malheiro to Benfica, and their president has already said they're not giving Benfica any breaks, that they're going to sell him for the price that he's worth, perhaps a lot of players are also looking at that. They're looking at some money that may come in from these buys. Of course, the first money is probably going to go to pay the gas bill, because apparently the players didn't have hot water in the stadium, in the locker room. But it's unfortunate. But I know exactly what you're saying, Dave. And I think that Malheiro is interesting. There might be one or two other guys that are interesting, but I don't think they're aside from Malheiro, which I think that between Malheiro and Ba, I think it might be a good fight that's going to improve either one of them. But I think any other guy, I don't think they have the caliber to play for Benfica, to be honest with you. So I don't know.
They've got that striker up top there, Bozanic, Slovakian guy.
He's kind of an interesting player, but
Yeah.
here's the thing: are we getting another Musa? That's the thing, because that's what
These giants, these players that are doing well on the Monkush, as we call them, and then can they make this step up too, right? But younger guy, I'm just looking at his page here. 24-year-old Slovakian's got 9 goals scored this season across all competitions. So not a bad player on Boavista. I believe he scored 2 already on us when we played them.
Yeah,
first week
no,
of
he
the
did.
season.
He was the scorer of the 2. But like I said, maybe we're just talking about another Musa. We don't need another. Like I was saying, I think that if we go out and buy somebody's got to be somebody that's going to be a hands down starter for me. We can't afford to be spending the money that we do, and that guy not be a starter. And look, I understand that there's a mental aspect, there's an adaptation aspect that goes into a player's psyche, right? So if you think about the way they scout players, right? You're originally scouting players almost in their natural habitat, right? Where they've been comfortable, where they feel confident, where they're probably feeling and are playing at a very good level because everything has lined up in terms of like the coach, they like the teammates, they like where they live. They feel mentally they're very at even keel mentally, which allows them to then perform on the field. Now, I can understand how you scout players. You said, okay, well, this guy has a tool set. He's got this. He's got these traits. Blah, 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 blah. You bring him to Lisbon to play for Benfica. Right off the bat, it's extremely intimidating because Benfica is a club with a lot of history. Then they bring him to the stadium. The stadium itself is just like, just blows your mind in terms of, and then there's that high price tag that now it's like, okay, well, in your mind, all of these things play inside your mind. You think about all these things. So while your skill set may be there, mentally, you may not be in a place where you could get the most out of your skills. And I think that there's a lot of times that, it's not that we looked at this guy, oh, what are the scouts looking at? Because this guy absolutely sucks. No, there's a lot more that goes into a player than just his ability and his technique with his feet. The mental aspect of the game, especially at this stage, is extremely important. So it's important that a player feels comfortable, that a player feels at home, because that's just going to build up their confidence, and that with that confidence comes their skills. So it's interesting. It's interesting, but I think that there's guys out there that are just the one guy that we're after, Jimenez from was it Feyenoord or was it PSV? Dave, the Mexican.
The Mexican.
Yeah,
was PSV.
Yeah, so that guy.
Feyenoord, maybe one of the
yeah.
two. Now
So
mixed
that
up.
guy, if I think we took too long, and he ended up renewing. But I think that if we go with a very good offer, this is a different season that we're living through. But I think we cheaped out a little bit. We didn't want to pay the money. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, Jimenez. We didn't want to pay the money, and then we ended up renewing. And then once he renewed, there was no taking him from there. But I think that was the one player that would have made a difference, along with the other guy that went to play for Brighton. I think I forget what his name was, but he was a fullback that went to play for Brighton. Well, but he decided to go and play for them rather than Benfica. But look, when when you spend the money, you better make sure that you're getting the guy that you're paying for, because otherwise it could be a little tricky, What else? While we wait for Chico Marcelino to join us here, we got Famalicão this Friday, last game of the year. Famalicão, the game takes place on Friday, 6:45, if I'm not mistaken. What's Famalicão up to this season?
They're currently in seventh position with 18 points from 4 wins, 6 draws, and 4 defeats. Coming in not on the greatest of form here. 1 win in their last 5 matches, so 1 win, 2 draws, 2 defeats. And we've already faced Famalicão not too long ago, November 25th, 2-0 victory in the last round of the Taça de Portugal. So recently faced, and it's a way back up north to go see them again, this time for league action.
Yeah. So another tough game up north for Benfica, I think. And Famalicão is, as you mentioned, they've 7th place, right? Not doing too bad. And is a team that could create us problems, especially that up north we haven't had the best record up north. So we'll see. But another tough game for Benfica. Di Maria will not play. We read today that Di Maria has been excused to spend New Year's with his family. Otamendi is suspended. Dave, what do you think of that? Are you making a big deal out of the fact that Di Maria got basically excused from the game so he could spend the New Year's with his family?
I'm sure that this was already planned from the start. We were talking last week that Roger was going to probably give him the break leading into the holidays, right? And give him a rest for AVS. So I'm not concerned about it. Gives us some more time to. He's probably going to slot Gage in that position, I'm assuming, but if not, I'd love to see more of Gouveia.
Yeah.
Like you said, compared to a Gage, because you know what you're going to get out of a Gage, and he's on a loan. Why not give that time and potential development to a guy like Gouveia, who's still on the roster here, and he's owned by the club here. But I bet you he goes to Gage first, with Gouveia coming off the bench here.
Yeah. Let me put the link again for Chico Marcelino. Chico, Hugo got in through his cell phone, and there wasn't any problems. But then again, I mean, that's 8 different cell phones, and you're in a different country. So I don't know. But yeah, I'll be curious to see who grabs that. Yeah, I don't know if Geds or Gouveia. I would love to see more of Gouveia, just because I think that Geds right now is still struggling with his form. Just seems very, very clumsy with the ball. Looks like he wants to do, every time he gets the ball, he always wants to do too much. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd love to see more of Gouveia, but I don't think Gouveia is that high in a pecking order. Or if he's just if Geds has to get those minutes, because Roger Schmidt also feels that the more minutes gets, the better he will become in terms of form, in terms of shaking some of the cobwebs from being injured. Because I still feel that he's somewhat limited in terms of his range of motion from his injury, and I don't know if it's permanent due to the injury, or if it's just something that he just hasn't gotten to that 100% of his abilities. All right, here we go. We got somebody else here. Let's bring Chico.
Hello, guys.
Então, amigo.
Hello, guys. Everything okay?
Everything good. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry if my English is not perfect.
Your English is perfect. Your English is perfect.
I'm not. It's not my native language, so I'm sorry if I make some mistakes.
Neither is mine. So you're good,
Okay.
Chico. You're good, man. You're fine.
Okay.
So what's
guys,
going on, man? How you been?
I don't know what you guys want to talk about.
You talk about anything you want.
I just arrived to the show, so I'm really not up to date. So
Yeah.
to what you guys were talking.
We're just basically discussing what your thoughts on the team so far this season, and also what the expectations are for the winter transfer window and Europa League campaign, and also the rest of the season. So I don't know if you want to offer your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So to be honest, I think it's a little bit difficult to predict Benfica at the moment, right? Every game is kind of you really don't know what is going to happen. Lately, we have been a little bit more consistent, I think, but I still don't feel 100% secure. So I can't really make a prediction on what is going to happen. You know, I can maybe give it a try, but I don't feel confident in my prediction. You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't feel that consistency in the team. You know, and that's what's bugging me most of all.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten a little better since the incident at Stade Luge with Roger Schmidt, and I'd mentioned that could be a turning point. Because we saw the team rally around the coach at that point. And there was rumors that the locker room was fractured, the team is no longer with the coach, but there was a clear manifestation right then and there that the team was with the coach. So all of those rumors were dispelled. Rui Costa comes out, said, "This is our coach. Please show him the respect that he deserves. He won us the title last year. He had a respectable Champions League campaign." So he asked the fans to kind of simmer down and to really control their emotions. And I think that has boded well in terms of what the team has done so far. What do you think of the winter transfer window? Do we go? Who do we go get? What positions do you feel you're lacking that everybody knows, right? But in your mind, how do you approach this winter transfer window?
Well, in my view, it's always like a matter of opportunity, right? I think that you should not go for a player just because you go for it. I think you should only go if you think that is is going to really add something to the team, you know?
Right.
Sometimes I think that because the fans expect some signings and perhaps the directing board feels that they need to go sign someone, and maybe they just sign to sign. You know,
yeah.
I really think that Benfica should be clinical in every signing, in the summer signings, in the winter signings. I don't think they should go gamble on signings. You know, so if they see something that is going to clearly improve the team, definitely go for it. But signing just for signing's sake, I don't agree with that. About the positions, I think everybody agrees, right? Left back, maybe we could sign a striker if you see a very good striker to add to the team. That Jimenez guy that you were talking about, I think is probably a safe choice, right?
Yeah.
I think he proved himself lately.
Yeah.
And I don't really see him failing if he came, you know.
Yeah.
I can't really see that. If he's expensive, maybe, but I think he's probably a sure thing for the striking position. if you could go and sell Artur Cabral as well, in the like make an exchange, right? I also read about the interest of Marseille, right?
Yeah.
If that's a possibility, I mean that would be perfect, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. Artur Cabral, I thought that maybe he could give us more if he had more playing time, but since he's not an option, well, go out and sell him if you have a good opportunity, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that we definitely have to be surgical in terms of the way we approach the market, because we can't afford to be spending the money that we spent on Jurasek and Cabral, and basically
Mhm.
they've been non-factors so far this season. What about in terms of the Europa League? What are your expectations for the Europa League?
I think we should go for it, right? I think that if we won the Europa League, would probably be my happiest day as a Benfiquista. So how can I say no to that? You know?
Yeah.
I think I know that it's been a discussion, maybe in the past, but if we should go for it or maybe focus on the internal titles, right? I think that is ridiculous from to a Benfiquista to say that.
Yeah.
To be honest, if you say that, you don't really have the notion what Benfica is in terms of Europe, right? In its history, I mean, Benfica is what it is because of what he won in Europe. We can never say no to a chance to win an European championship. So that's my position, to be honest.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I agree with you. I think that's within our DNA. When we enter competitions to win. We don't devalue any competitions. And I think my biggest worry in terms of the Europa League is that we may not have the depth and we may overextend ourselves that now could hurt us domestically. Because I don't think that Benfica is going to go into the Europa League and said, our priority is the domestic league, and we're just gonna fuck off on the Europa League. I don't think that's the case. And then as we get forward in Europa League, more and more commitment to the competition is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be honest with you, it's like there are many times in the past teams have won European competitions without making a good internal season, you know. So you have many cases like that. So I think the best shot is go for all of those, you know. Maybe one of those you might not win, but for example, if we didn't won the championship, the Portuguese league, and if we won the Europa League, I would be happy, for example, you know.
Yeah.
So I think we should go for all of those, and in the end, we'll see, you know.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and like I said, it's when it's in Benfica's DNA to enter competitions and to want to win it, like any club. You know, Porto's
any big club, right?
Yeah, exactly. Porto's the team that kind of devalued the League Cup for the longest time. That it was a Mickey Mouse competition, but certainly I think that, you know, I wouldn't expect, nor would any other Benfica fan, for Benfica to enter competitions just to go through the motions. We go in to give it our best effort. However it turns out to be, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What else, Shiku, man? What do you got? What else you got? What, any other thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, not. I didn't really thought of it beforehand, but I don't know, man. Do you have any suggestions of a topic?
No, you know, it's just the biggest thing is really looking at what the season has been so far, and you know, I think every Benfiquista is waiting for the transfer window with anticipation, because we clearly have detected that there's some gaps that we need to close up in order to make us a more well-rounded team. And then there's the European competition. I think that any Benfiquista should always be excited about seeing their team in Europe, measuring strength with the rest of the teams in Europe, albeit at a much lower level. Well, not much, but a lower level. But still, there's really interesting teams at the Europa League, the teams that all won their groups. Atalanta, Liverpool, And those
Yeah,
are the
Liverpool.
those are the only ones that I think that who else is in there? There's a few teams that won that are
I
extremely.
really don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, Dave's looking
I
it
can
up.
bring that up here. I'll bring that up.
Dave's looking that up, but really like interesting teams that there will be. It will be an interesting matchup, but I think that we'll get past this round, and then it's just the luck of the draw. I think. Dave, what do you got?
Yeah.
Liverpool, Atalanta.
West Ham, Brighton,
Hmm.
Rangers, Villarreal, Slavia Praha, and Leverkusen. They're actually one of the ones who.
Okay, so I think there are more good teams than I thought. To be honest.
Leverkusen.
You said, yeah. Leverkusen it will be very hard to beat, and also Brighton, and also you said West Ham United.
Yeah.
West Ham. They topped their
West
group as
Ham.
well.
Yeah, they are making a good Premier League, right?
Yeah.
I think they are like.
They're having a really good campaign.
It's Villa that's in the top 4, top 5.
Oh,
right
it's
now.
Villa. Okay, I
Yeah.
always mess those two up because they are
same
similar
colors
kids. Okay.
almost.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I think that
but
both
Liverpool
teams.
and Leverkusen will be very hard.
Yeah, I think that both teams are doing well internally, and I think that any EPL team is going to be able to compete on any given time.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shiku, that's all I got, man. I don't know if you.
Yeah, let me just tell you something, Alfredo.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I just remember, maybe just to finish it off, I think that about the signings that we made lately, not just this season, but maybe in the last 2 seasons. I think that it's not polemic what I'm going to say, but I think we are not really spending the money very well, right?
No.
Since Roger Schmidt joined, I think most of the signings were his signings. I think maybe with a couple of exceptions, and I think there is a pattern that we can see that maybe probably of all of the Roger Schmidt signings, the only one that was a really good signing was Orson's.
Yeah.
If you think of it, I don't know if he had a hand on Turbine or not, but everyone else, like Jurasek, like Koksu, I'm going to put Ba also in there because, to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Ba. I think he's an average wing back. He didn't really add a lot to the team. So he's not really hitting on those signings easy. I don't know if we should maybe stay more focused on our own scouting,
Yeah.
And I don't know what is the solution, but we are failing and we are spoiling all the money that we make on transfers with the bad signings.
Yeah.
We could have a much better team if we knew how to manage that money. If that money was on the hands of the likes of Porto, I think that somehow they would make a better team that we managed to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The signings is the thing that bothers me the most. The way that we cannot manage our resources in a proper way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and look, I've said this on. I was on the forum for Benfica Independente the other day, and I said the same thing. I think Benfica has the most fans. They have the best infrastructure.
Exactly.
We are probably without knowing, right? But I'm going to say the best well off financially of the top 3 teams, right? We have all this patrimony, right? All these things for us going
all
for
the
us.
Potential, right?
Yeah, and we don't have a management team that can manage the aspects off the field. And I think that signing of players is one of them. And I know that when you sell players like Enzo and you sell players like João Felix, teams look at you and know, well, they got money. Instead of asking for 15, we're gonna ask them for 23, because that's the market in which Benfica plays in. But the thing is that I think that it's been very poorly managed, and you bring up a great point in terms of all the guys that have come in under Roger's reign, and you can't count on Enzo because I don't think Enzo was a Roger buy.
Right.
But everyone else, you look at, and it's only Auschwitz, and Auschwitz just
is the only one.
Came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who Auschwitz was, and he came in. But everyone else, I don't even think that Neres was a Roger Schmidt buy.
I think, to be honest, I'm not sure, but I also don't think it was. But I'm not sure. Maybe it was. Maybe it was because he came from Holland. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, but I think
definitely is not hitting on the signings. I think it's fair to say.
No, I think that's been a big miss, and like he says that every signing, Rui Costa says every signing has to have a Seville, but if the coach says the scouting reports, what the guys saw checks out under their natural habitat, like I was saying earlier, everything checks out. The coach wants them. What is Rui Costa going to say? You want to make sure that you give your coach all of the tools and all the conditions for him to be successful. So if the scouting team approves a guy, the coach asks for him, what is the president going to say? If we have the money. I don't think there's much that Rui Costa could say.
I'm just not sure if all the calls go through Roger Schmidt and the scouting, if they have to be approved by both. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it's like in my head, I think the scouts probably have a list, right, of names.
Yeah.
And probably Roger Schmidt, if he thinks of someone, if he tells a name, well, it's like scouting. What is going? Oh, he's on our list, so go and sign him. On the list, that is a priority, right? It's not. So,
I agree.
It had to be a really good coincidence that the number one priority or two even is the same that Roger Schmidt said, right? So, it's impossible to have almost impossible to have the two sides agree on that, right?
Yeah.
So, in the end of the day, you have to make a choice. I know there are people that say that the management should focus on signing for the team because the coaches can go and quickly, and then we are stuck with the coaches' players.
Yeah.
Also, the other side, I think, is reasonable to say that the coach needs players to make a team that he thought about, right? A scheme that is thought about.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think the scouting our personal scouting should be the priority. If possible, our coach should go through our scouting list and, in the ideal world, choose from there. Because I think the team, a club, cannot be dependent on the choices of a particular coach. That's sometimes signing a player can be a big investment for the future, and sometimes coaches only stay for a bit. Let me just say something. For example, the team that Roger had last year was mainly built with him, right? It was not players chosen by him.
Yeah.
Right now, and was a very good team. I also saw that pattern, for example, in Jorge Jesus in his first year. When he came in the first year, his first team was a very good team, and it was not mainly chosen by him. So I see no problem if a good player is a good player, right?
Yeah.
If we are confident in our scouting, we have to give priority to that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with you, Shiku. We definitely have to do a lot better in terms of the players that we go and get, because it hasn't been good for Roger Schmidt.
Yeah, let me just also add that we know better here what typically happens when with some kinds of player comes here.
Yeah.
Roger Schmidt doesn't know exactly what a guy like Jurasek that comes from the Czech league. I mean, typically those kinds of players go to the League of Holland, and they might be okay, but it's not the same playing in Portugal, obviously.
Yeah.
We know we'll probably know that would not be an easy transition to go from that league to ours.
Yep.
Our league, in terms of tactical and defending, is very different from the Holland league or from the Czech league.
Yeah. Even
in any case,
Yeah, even the magnitude of the club, right? Much different.
Yeah, exactly.
Much different realities. Yeah. Different realities.
We have to have our pattern to the kind of players that we sign, right?
Yeah.
The Benfica has to have.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If our coach says a player that we think there is a gamble in our league, we have to stop it.
Right.
We have to give But again, that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with
also
you.
have to understand if someone says that we have to give the coach what he needs to
Yeah.
to. So yeah,
But I agree
that's
with
it.
you. I think that you have to be looking at the project when you bring in players, especially players that are a little bit younger. You have to be signing players for the project and not so
Mhm.
much for the coach,
Yeah,
especially
I
younger
believe that
players.
too.
Yeah.
I
Shiku.
believe that too. And sometimes the coach doesn't necessarily. I mean, not there is no one that can really assess what a player will give when he arrives at the club, right? It's a gamble on both sides. Even if you sign a player from the scouting list, or if you sign a player from the that is recommended by the coach. So I think that the best bet is going for our scouting list. Our scouting is there for a reason. And it's hard for our scouting to be worst in terms of knowing what is good for Benfica. It's hard that they are worse than any coach, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I
You know?
agree with you.
A
Shiku.
good player is a good player that works in any
Yeah,
team. And
exactly.
that's it.
Shiku, it was a true pleasure speaking to you finally. You've
The
been a
same,
big
Alfredo.
supporter of the podcast for a long,
Yeah,
long
man.
time.
Long time, man. I just got you one time in YouTube for it happens, and I was blown because I never heard of a podcast from Benfica. This was a long time ago, and you guys were speaking in English, so I was I was kind of surprised to hear you guys. And then you guys mentioned some other podcasts later that I also started to follow,
Yeah.
like the continue Benfica and some stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always hear. I heard all of those guys because of you guys. You
Awesome.
were the first podcast that I follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
your
thank
English
you
is
guys for
perfect,
letting me
man.
talk. Well, not really. I was a bit nervous, but
Nah, you're
I
good,
think I
man.
got
Trust
through.
me.
I think my idea got through. Yeah, that's
I
it.
think
Man.
that you
Thank
speak
you very
better
much.
English than Chris.
Thank-
Take much.
yeah, man.
Shiku, it's a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, man. Alfredo and Dave, thank you very much. See you next time.
Yep.
Talk
See
to you
ya.
next time. Okay.
Stay well. Happy
Bye-bye,
New
man.
Year. Chris Chris joined us, but I think there he is. Is it Chris? Is it the real Chris? The original Cristiano?
The original? Maybe.
No, it's a different
Possibly.
Chris.
Yeah, it is a different one. But I want to say, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, man?
I don't know. I like listening to you guys. You guys are cool guys.
Appreciate it.
Dave, Alfredo, Cristiano too. I like Cristiano too.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah, you guys are cool.
Good, man.
Chico
Appreciate it.
too. I've seen Chico in the chat a lot, and he's pretty passionate, and he comes across with a lot of passion with what he's saying. And he covered a lot of points that I probably wanted to cover too.
Yeah.
He probably had his own opinions of it, but I don't think I could get off the top of my head of fucking like everything that he was getting off of. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about, I think you guys was the transfer market in January.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on the team so far?
Yeah.
Maybe we could start there, and then we could get into the transfer market and the Europa League.
Yeah. So the team. Yeah. So the team so far, I think we lost Ramos, right? Gonzalo Ramos, which I think a lot of people were undervaluing him and his capabilities and his basically like what he was capable of, which he showed everything he was capable of in the World Cup when he substituted Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Which basically you substitute Ronaldo, that's like you can't fill bigger shoes than that. And I think we didn't I don't know, we didn't hit the mark on what we were going for, I guess.
Yeah.
So we went for Artur Cabral, who in my opinion I think he was a little bit too criticized a little bit too early on, a little bit too harshly criticized. And he I don't know, like anyone, he does make a lot more money than all of us, right? But and he showed a little bit too much emotion and what he did, and then he basically brought us into the Europa League. So fucking kind of shows, like I don't think he hates us. It's just like we're going through like this tough time where it's just like we had a really good team going, and then we lost a key player, and it was like really hard to replace that
Yeah.
player. And um we did replace the player with a pretty like if not the same level, if not better, in my opinion, from what I've seen of him in Feyenoord. Pachu is like he has the
Yeah.
he hasn't shown it in Benfica. He scored a worldie. I don't remember who it was against, but like
Yeah.
you can see every time he takes a shot out of the box, his passes are pin like a lot of his passes are pinpoint. He's accurate. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's a little bit chunky, which I was giving it because I think he grew up in Holland, and I think Feyenoord is like his home team.
Hmm.
So it's like he won the league with Feyenoord, so he kind of like party a little bit too much, gain a little bit too much weight. Yeah, yeah, it's true, but I don't think it takes away from the quality that like he's actually like a good player because I don't think I think football's going in a direction where it's like a lot of the players they all have to be like they're all tracked, they're monitored like how much coverage they're like how many kilometers they're covering.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's turned into a sport where it's like it's all like
A numbers game,
it
right?
almost it, don't- it yeah it almost looks like it's like controlled by like a computer almost. Like
Right.
it doesn't look like human to a point. Because like if you look at like Kokchu isn't, yeah, I don't want to say nearly, but like yeah like he took the number 10 shirt. The guy's like 20 years old, or he's like 21. He just won the league with Holland,
Yeah.
with Feyenoord. Like he's young. He's like one of the top talents. He probably came here. Like I don't think he came here for like the paycheck. I think like he probably came here. He wants to give like 1 or 2 years to
Yeah.
Benfica, and like he probably wants to like gain like he wants to like I don't know. I guess we say over here like big himself up, but it's like
Yeah.
he wants to take himself to like the next level, right? Which I think like anyone could do, but it's like the $30 million tag. I think we put a little bit too much weight on it. Where it's like the thing is with Benfica, it's like we've kind of been building towards that tag.
Yeah. Hmm.
Where it's like it doesn't weigh as much as it should weigh, but we put a lot more weight on it because he is the most expensive player like the
Yeah.
league has ever seen. But it's not that he doesn't have like the quality. I don't think it's not. I don't think he's lacking the quality. It's just he's not living up to the expectation, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that position is a fucking like it's a really hard position. It's a really hard position to fill. It's a hard position to that a lot of teams are looking for. That like even Liverpool. Liverpool when they bought Endo. I think he's Japanese. He came from the German league. I don't remember which team. I think it was Cologne.
Yep.
But he's been there. He's been on that team for like 8 years or something. He was the captain. It's like they went and got like because they missed on all their targets, right? But they went and they got like someone who's like those positions like Chelsea. They got like probably so fucking
Yeah.
yeah.
They got
They
tons
wasted
of
all their
guys.
fucking money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah, they would.
with Kokshu, I don't think that he's been deployed at what his natural position is, which is right below the striker. I think that he has a lot more freedom to
Yeah,
create
you
and
see,
to shoot the ball.
and yeah, and I agree with you, Alfredo. And like, I'm sorry to cut you off,
Oh, it's
but
okay.
it's like, it's the problem is like, I think a lot of the Benfiquistas want to see Kokchu a lot higher up the pitch,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like he doesn't play that much higher. Like he plays in where Enzo played, but where he's playing now is what Florentino played last year, and we're letting João Neves play the Enzo role because João Neves does like João Neves fucking bro. João Neves does the Enzo role fucking
Yeah.
like 30 times better than whatever the fuck Enzo was doing. Like, and you guys could say whatever the hell you want to say about that. Like, but I think João Neves fucking
Yeah.
yeah, he does so much. Like, it's kind of like a joke. But and
Yep.
the kid's like 19. But like regardless of that, we're putting Kokchu in the fucking the 6 role,
Hmm.
so he's playing the Florentino role. So he's obviously a lot deeper because we kind of like play the four in the back, and then we got Morato as well. So Morato kind of stays a little bit back. He kind of like provides a little bit of the balance. So you give a little bit more attacking into the midfield. So like he plays Kokchu instead of like Florentino, right? But so Kokchu's playing like the 6 role instead of like the 8 role, where he can, instead of like the Enzo role, where Enzo would like ping the passes and the accurate passes. He put the pass over the top, and he would like Enzo was really exceptional at just chopping down the time.
Yeah.
Like everything is like timing now. Like I think a lot of people like the sport has come to a point where it's like it's a lot more I don't think like the quality between players is really small, where the it's like Enzo, like he would receive the ball, he'd ping a pass, and it was like super accurate, super fast, and it would just like catch everyone off guard, and like it would just destroy defensive lines. Like it would just get behind everyone or just catch people off guard. And Rafa, like I think a lot of Benfica with the Kokchu thing, the Benfica want to see like Kokchu in the Rafa role, and then I guess Rafa on the left wing instead of João Mario.
Yeah.
Because João Mario isn't he's obviously not diverse enough, right? I think I think a lot of people have a lot of problems with João Mario on the left wing.
Yep.
But I don't think he plays left. I don't think João Mario actually plays left. Like it's not like a left wing, right?
No,
like,
he comes
the left
inside.
wing is kind of like the left.
He comes
Yeah,
inside.
the left wing is kind of like Grimaldo's space, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where we fucked up, where we got like Jurasek, which is it's nothing against Jurasek because he's probably a good player. He probably could have excelled at like another club. But I think we went and like we were trying to re-sign Grimaldo or get Kirkes, but like which is like they're two super similar players that kind of play the same game. Like that, like I think Benfica, like this scouting, like this, like I think Chico was talking about this, like scouting in Benfica is a problem. I don't think that's the problem. I think it was the like the pricing of the players and like how much we're gonna pay the like a lot of the people were like, oh, it's too much money, but it's like we're making more money now because I guess we're selling off players for higher prices.
Yep.
But you have to like at that point, like you kind of have to pay that little extra more. Like I think
but you can't miss
out on what were you gonna say?
You can't miss.
That's the thing. I think we missed out on Grimaldo. Look at Grimaldo, like dude, like how many people were talking shit about Grimaldo last season? Like so many, like the Benfica were talking shit about Grimaldo, like almost like the entire season. And like the guy took off his shirt, he put his shirt up to the crowd at the end of the season. Like the guy, like he's not a fucking he didn't grow up in the academy, but I'm pretty sure like he proved himself in the club, and like he never got called up. Like Spain obviously disrespects us when it comes to like the national team, and it's kind of like the guy never, like he deserved to get a call up. He never got called up. It's like I don't know, the guy like you didn't want to give him the little extra money, and you could like we got fucked with some fucking like he's not garbage, but it's like bro, you could have had if you paid the extra money, you could have had like you could have had like one of those guys where you look back at like you're like he loved the club. He was like he did it like look what he's doing for Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah,
it's like it's ridiculous, and it's kind of like we fucked up on that, and we fucked up on the Kirkes too, because the Kirkes is like a way younger version of Grimaldo, and we didn't want to pay the extra money for him either.
That's where I think we fucked up.
Complaining it was like we kind of. I think we fucked up with that Fiorentina guy, the guy that went to Fiorentina instead of coming to us. He was like a young Argentinian kid that had more of like the versatility to combine the lines and all that. Like instead of it was like, oh, it's too much money for like everybody was like, oh, it's too much money for this, too much money for that.
Yeah, I think
it's like, dude, like
I agree with you, man. I think we fucked up on the profile. Because we should have gotten somebody that matched the profile, and I don't think that Jurasek matched the profile. I think
no, he didn't.
I think
he does match.
Yeah, Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. No. It's
No. What I wanted to say was that my opinion is that Grimaldo left Benfica with a clear conscience, right? Because at the end of the day, I think it was what 8 seasons that he spent at Benfica, or 8 years that he spent at Benfica, gave it his all. I just think that in his mind, right, and understanding that the Portuguese league doesn't have the visibility that a Bundesliga has, that a Premier has, that a La Liga has. I think that he felt that there was his next logical step in terms of his career, in terms of getting the exposure that eventually earned him a call up to the national team. I thought that he was ready to go. Who the fuck wants to play at Aroca and Tondela when you could play in the Bundesliga with filled up stadiums? You know, to me is an easy choice. I understand that Benfica would have loved to have kept him. I would have loved to have kept him, but I really think at the end of the day it was his decision because he felt that there was the next progressive step in his career was to move to a league that has higher visibility.
And I agree with you, Alfredo, as well. But I think with Grimaldo, like he went to Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen, the team, like they weren't any like world beaters last season. They're not the team that you see them today. They were like
Yeah.
a not mid-table team. Like Bayer Leverkusen is pretty well known in Germany, obviously.
Right.
I respect it. I really like the German league.
Yeah.
But Bayer Leverkusen, I think he went there mostly because Xabi Alonso was the
The
coach.
project
The
is enticing.
Spanish, yeah, the project is like it's appealing. But Grimaldo gave him like he opened the door to Benfica. Like he let them like like you could have offered him a contract where he could have stayed. It wasn't where like he was forcing himself out. And you seen like where we posted a video of his departure and he was crying like
Yeah.
he likes the club. Probably not as much as we like the club,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure he has a pretty strong connections to the club
Oh yeah.
because he got turned off by a lot of clubs. He got turned down by his national team, and Benfica was the his gateway to like everything, right? Like I think I don't know. We could have done well holding on to him, and but Benfica fans are like next thing, new thing. Like I think we're a little bit too with the next thing, new thing, where it's
Yeah.
like yeah, okay, like they're like we have a lot of exceptional talents. Like they're great players. Like I like the I'm not a Jose Mourinho where I like to bring in like 30, 29 year olds.
Yeah.
Like I like the the younger guys. But like a guy like Grimaldo, it's like I don't
Yeah.
know,
It's tough, man. It
like
was tough.
he was a good fucking like
No, for sure.
why are we bashing him to the point where it's like we think we should get a better left back than like the top 3, 4, 5 clubs in the world. It's like you have one of like in my opinion, he's up there in like
Yeah.
the top 10, if not top 10, top 15 at least in left backs in the world.
Yeah. No, I agree
Like
with you.
why are we throwing him like it's like we shouldn't compete in contracts? It's like oh just let him go. Like we'll get something else. And then it's like, okay, the next thing, the first thing that Benfica, the first scouting, like the first thing they put on the table is the Kirkas, and then we're like, oh yeah, that guy's too much money. Like fuck that guy. We'll go another guy. Like like what are we doing? Like we're kind of
Yeah. I just, I just think that the profile of the player that we went to get is completely wrong because at some point we had to know that there was a big distance in terms of the money that we were willing to pay for Grimaldo, that he was willing to accept. So at some point we had to know, okay, well, he's a foregone conclusion. Let's work on bringing
yeah
in a
he
player
was
with the same
he,
profile.
he, yeah he was
You know?
asking for a lot of money,
Yeah.
and
But
I
it
think
was,
so. Who
there
else
was a
was
reason for that, right? Because he wanted to leave. So
and he has the quality, dude,
for
bro.
sure.
Like, have you seen what he's doing in the bro? He's making a joke of the
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah,
He
he's doing
looks
good.
like a winger,
He's doing good.
dude.
Um,
He's Everybody's fucking talking about him, bro.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I
We
enjoy
look
watching them.
idiots, bro.
I enjoy watching them. That team plays really well. But Chris, let me get your thoughts on in terms of what your expectations are for the Europa League and the rest of the season.
So okay, the Europa League. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched a lot of the Europa League. I think Dave brought up the teams. I don't really remember the teams.
Yeah.
And I like not. I don't know. I don't. I respect the Europa League, and I want us to go far in the Europa League. What
Yeah.
is there? Liverpool. There's West Ham. There's Slavia Praha. There's
Brighton, Rangers.
But Brighton's not playing that well. Rangers. There's Rangers. Who else? But like Rangers, Rangers. We should beat Rangers. We should compete with Liverpool. West
Atalanta.
Ham. What? I don't know about West Ham. If it was Aston Villa, okay, but like, what is West Ham? I guess West Ham. The only thing they have to fight for is the Europa League, right?
Yeah.
So you probably have to. You probably have to beware a little bit of them. But Liverpool, they're fighting for the title in England. So
Yeah.
I think you could push them to limits. Who else is in there?
Atalanta.
Leverkusen,
Yeah.
Villarreal.
Leverkusen.
Yeah, Leverkusen's definitely.
Yeah, I think that Liverpool and Leverkusen are the real favorites.
Yeah,
in this
Liverpool,
whole thing.
Leverkusen, Atlanta could probably we suck against fucking Italian teams.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
why.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a thorn in our thigh with the Italian teams, but yeah, what is it? Liverpool, Brighton. I don't know. Like they could be one of those teams that they could surprise you, right? Because they played good football for a lot of years. They have all the best coaches. They look at their tactics. They study them. Like
Yeah.
they study the coaches. Like they study how they play. They buy their players. Like Brighton's doing some. Like Brighton's kind of like they're kind of like a skeleton of what they used to be, but they're still De Zerbi's a good coach.
Yeah.
And,
So you think we have a chance of going deep into the Europa League?
No, yeah, I think I don't think we should throw away, like, if it comes down to a point where like it's a weekend where like we play Porto on the weekend and it'd be like a quarterfinal of the Europa League on the week, like in between the week.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely prioritize the league. But I think quarterfinals, like semifinal, like I think that's what we should be pushing for.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome, man. Hey, Chris, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. We got to split. It's getting late here, man. 11:30. We're going almost
I'm
2
sorry for
hours,
pushing
man.
you guys a little bit
No,
too
no
late. I
problem,
talk a
man.
lot,
No,
but-
I appreciate you being participative in here and talking to us, man. I really appreciate, man. Have a happy New Year and
I like you guys. You guys are cool. Merry
Thanks, man.
Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah. All right, Chris.
Yeah.
Take
You
care,
guys are
man.
dope.
We'll-
I'm sorry.
No, it's no problem. I appreciate all the support.
Thanks, man.
Take-
Like you guys too. You guys are cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Chris. Take care. All right, Dave. I think that's it, right? What are we in? An hour and 57 minutes. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for that joined us on the chat. Thank you, everyone, for coming on and speaking to us live. We really appreciate it. Let's do this some other time. It's getting late. Dave has to go to bed. I have to go to bed. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you guys. Be back next week. Later.